You wanna play games, motherfucker?
All right, so now I think we should probably talk about some of the trailers that have dropped in the last
reviews,
couple
yes.
of weeks. So we can kick it off with the Spiral trailer.
Boom, and I got thoughts.
All right, so
Thoughts.
the first thing that I thought about when I saw this looks like Seven.
Yes.
It has a
for sure.
has a very Seven vibe to it. At first, you wouldn't realize that it's in the Saw universe. And it's also, the trailer looks very hot, and when I sense that everybody in the trailer is like sweating,
Right.
You know, so
But
it has
though.
that August, that dead of August
Yeah.
kind of feel to it.
It also gives it like a grounded feel, like
Yeah.
you're in that world. You know, it's not pretty, it's not makeup. There's not like soft lights on these actors. It's like legit. It's real. You're in there swinging your balls off, like straight up. In Wolf of Wall Street, when Kyle Chandler's character's like, I'm going back in the subway with my fucking balls sticking to my suit.
You know what? When I'm riding home on the subway and my balls are fucking sweating, I'm wearing the same suit 3 days in a row. Yeah, you bet I do.
Okay, I believe you're an FBI agent in that movie, and I believe these people are just like detectives and just like in the world today, sweating their balls off, like mandatorily having to wear these suits. Like, when I have to wear a suit in the summer for work, I'm fucking dying.
Right.
So, like, I agree and totally relate with what I saw in this trailer.
And I think the thing that I really liked about it too is it feels more in line with the first Saw, but also that the cinematography is very well shot, and it seems like that they have a much bigger budget than the last couple of Saw sequels, because after that first one, you know, you had Saw 2 and Saw 3, and then I think shortly after, when the Saw sequels started making less and less money, even though like their budgets were always really low,
Right.
they started to get really cheap looking. And like the very last one, which I think was Jigsaw, maybe.
Jigsaw, that came out, I believe, 2 years ago, 2017, I want to say.
It's been like, okay.
Right.
So it seems like that now this is somewhat of, I wouldn't want to call it a reboot, because I feel like they're going to keep it in that same universe.
Did you see Jigsaw? By
I
any
didn't,
chance?
I didn't see Jigsaw.
Okay.
I actually like after the first Saw film, like the sequels kind of like I'm not really a fan of that genre of horror.
Right.
Like the whole kind of like really like.
Got you, my guy. That's what I'm here for.
Right.
Right.
But like really like gory and stuff like that. Like that really
gore
doesn't kind of gore porn. Like it really doesn't do much for me. And like the sequels just kind of really amped it up. That's why the first one's always been my favorite. And this one seems like it's going to be more along those lines of being more.
And the first one definitely has more of like the indie route. It's
Yes.
definitely more like smaller, grounded.
Yeah, but I think the budget's going to be pretty big on this one, because just in its look, it doesn't look cheap to me. It looks like they really put a lot of, you know, money and effort into this one. So I'm really excited to see what they do with it.
Well, some things that I'm going to say. So I do have some pros and cons with this. I'll start off by saying my biggest sort of con is that we're getting the trailer pretty soon before the movie comes out. So that to me kind of, like, I don't want to...
It's like your first red flag.
Right. It just kind of naturally just comes to me. It could be a sort of like Ready or Not situation from last year. Remember where we got a trailer, I think, like a month before the movie came out?
Yeah.
Or like 2 months?
Yeah, and Ready or Not turned out to be a gem.
It was like a nice surprise. It was like a really nice surprise, you know? So that could be a situation here, because I believe the movie's coming out in May, or...
Yes, yeah, it's coming out in May, which I think some people were a little concerned about, but I think the reason why it's coming out in May and not in October is because Halloween Kills come out in October, and that's going to be a juggernaut at the box office, so they really don't want to like compete with that. And I think the fact that they're coming out in May, it's a bit of a counter-programming kind of situation where you have all these big blockbusters, and a lot of times if you drop a horror movie in the summer, it usually succeeds at the box office.
Hopefully, because that was my other issues. Like, is that May release date's got me a little worried. Something else I'm not too crazy about are the writers. I'm not a huge fan of the resume. They did write the last one. They wrote Jigsaw, which I didn't think was awful. I thought you can kind of see the twist, so to speak, coming from like a mile away, but I thought it was pretty well executed. So I will give him that. I will give him the fact that I just think some of the dialogue was just not good. Another thing that I'm not too crazy about is Darren Lynn Bousman coming back to direct. I believe he did Saw 2 through 4 or 5. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But like you were saying before, the movie's kind of digressed over time. So I don't understand why they don't bring in someone new.
With like a fresh take.
With a fresh take on it. Same goes with the writers. However, these two people do have experience in this sort of field. So like, okay, let's give him another shot. Whatever. I'm willing to give him that pass, especially because I think maybe like I think like you said, like the first maybe 3 sequels are probably like okay at best, like enjoyable, but then they really just fucking go downhill.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of switch over now to some of the positives. I think what's interesting is the fact that this is pretty much being spearheaded by Chris Rock. I think he's an executive producer on it, and the story is by him. So when you look at sort of like in recent years, pretty much what comedic minds have developed in terms of horror has been kind of great. I think the obvious one is Jordan Peele with Get Out, John Krasinski with A Quiet Place, and Danny McBride. He essentially wrote the new Halloween trilogy.
Yeah, him and David Gordon
Exactly.
Green spearheaded that.
So these sort of comedic-based minds are putting out great horror. So I'm excited to see what Chris Rock can do. And I kind of agree with you 100% that it does feel like Seven. It has that sort of that shot in the trailer when they're at the police station was very like straight up John Doe. Like come in, like put this head, like I definitely got those vibes. And I'm not gonna lie, man. Like the second that music kicks in, I got hyped.
Oh yeah,
I was, like,
you feel the chills.
I was like super duper excited, and again like that just small sort of aesthetic to it, like the sweat, just gives you that sense like you're in this world. It's grounded. You can totally relate, and it looks more like a Seven type situation where it's sort of like cop drama, kind of chasing this crazy serial killer. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. And that poster they put out was super. Awesome too.
The poster's really cool. It's
really very
cool.
simple. Mm-hmm. It's got the spiral and the red light. We don't really see much of the puppet, which I think is interesting. We see
which I wonder if it's in that teal box. Remember he's about to open up that teal box,
right?
And the puppet's in there.
And there's like one shot when I feel like there's something on like a bike, but it's got like a top hat, so we're not entirely sure what the hell's going on.
You know what's also really cool is the speculation as to who is Samuel L. Jackson playing, because they show him in the trailer and he doesn't really interact with anybody. He's kind of by himself.
Right.
So there's speculation that he's the new Jigsaw.
Okay. Or it could be a situation like when Danny Glover's character kind of goes rogue after his partner dies in the first one.
You know, and you also said with the director who directed the first couple of Saw sequels, they really play around with the fact that like what you might be watching is not happening at the same time. Like they really mess with the timelines. Like not everything is linear. So
they do that a lot actually.
They do that a lot. So you might be watching something that you think is taking place at the same time, but it's really not. It's either in the past or it's in the future. So you really
they
really mess with time because they want to go for that big twist at the end.
Jigsaw's been out for enough, so I don't really want to spoil it too much. But essentially,
the
whole movie is taking place before anything.
Right. It's technically a prequel.
Exactly. And it's revealed at the end that pretty much what you were watching this whole time was taking place a long time ago, and it kind of wraps up towards the end. Like that's like the big twist and all that stuff. But still, too, like I believe it's the second one where it's a recording. The whole thing that they're watching is a recording.
Yes.
So they definitely like to fuck with time. If that's the case, then fine. I am excited to see a fresh take on this. And I do like the fact that the little kind of saga subline, like a chapter from the Book of Saw. Like, are we going to get more of these? If this is good?
Right.
You know, like...
It almost becomes like an anthology kind of
Exactly, which is fun because then you don't really have to worry about tying yourself down to anything. You can just go ahead and do your thing.
Right.
So, yeah. Definitely love the Seven vibes that I'm getting. Love the kind of real grounded, sort of human aspect that they're putting on this. And yeah, again, I just think some of the greatest horror films that we've gotten recently are from these sort of comedic based minds. Right. So I just hope that that keeps going.
Yeah, I would definitely, just to reiterate, like you basically said what I thought was that the X factor for this one is that Chris Rock is guiding it.
Right, because I think when the news broke, everyone was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
yeah,
Chris
and
Rock,
the fact
really?
that and the reason why it's getting made is because he wanted to make it.
Right.
So he has a clear vision for this.
Bit of a passion project. I did think though, I will be honest, that I think the Saw jab at the end of the trailer was a little too much. I could have done without that. But other than that, I thought it was a really great trailer, and I'm pumped for this.
Yeah.